What does it take to build a life in a new country? Not just to arrive, not just to find work, not just to understand the rules, but to feel that you belong. In this opening episode of Chapter 2, Bennu by Flux Forward explores belonging, integration, identity, and the emotional cost of making the Netherlands home. When people ask where you are from, what begins to feel like home? This is Bennu by Flux Forward.
So it seems it's working properly. Charlene?
Yeah, welcome, Panos. Thank you for being here. Would you like to introduce yourself maybe to the audience with a couple of sentences? Who are you and what do you do?
A couple of sentences. So I have 42 years of life to summarize. That's quite tough. And now thank you for having me here today. Very glad to be invited. My name is Panos Sarlanis. I am co-founder at I Am Expert Media, and we also own DutchNews.nl since quite recently. I moved to the Netherlands in 2007, and that's becoming quite quickly half of my lifetime in a few years from now. So from just moving to the Netherlands, it has become who I am and where I am since quite a few years now. And I'm happy to talk about it and explore more how it feels to be an expat, international, integrated, non-integrated in a new country, and everything that it brings. So
That's really great because in this, the first episode of the season 2 of the Bennu podcast, we have you, Panos, and you are the first person in this season we are talking about. And I think you have two sides. One of them, as you mentioned, you moved to the Netherlands in 2007. And then secondly, I think you have kind of extensive experience of coping, communicating, or developing different programs, events in terms of helping expats in the Netherlands, if I'm not wrong. Right?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct, indeed.
So maybe as the first question, I'm really interested to know why you decided to move to the Netherlands.
So I grew up in Greece. I was born and raised there in the early 80s. And I traveled outside Greece for the first time when I was 22. So that came quite late. But I always wanted, I think maybe that cultivated a bigger desire in me since I was young to get to know more than what I know, which was a very specific environment. And it was my kind of dream to study abroad for my master program. So that was always there as an idea that would happen no matter what. And so that was the kickoff. I want to get to know more, study abroad, explore this world, learn other cultures, languages. And when the time came, after graduating from my bachelor and also spending time in the Greek military because it's compulsory, you still have to do it, I had time to think about my future. And I did my studies in management science and technology. And corporate was not what I looking into. I never had this vision of working in a corporate world. But I wanted to start something on my own, and I wanted to start a business and organization that will have impact. That was always the long-term kind of dream. And after finalizing the studies at the Greek University for my bachelor, I thought entrepreneurship is a program I really want to find. So I looked specifically for programs that focus only on entrepreneurship. That would be the title of the program. And my research was in 2006. And I can tell you back then it was just a handful, not only in Europe, but on a bigger scale. So I remember finding one in Japan or USA, but I did find in Europe specifically in the Rotterdam School of Management. And I applied for Rotterdam School of Management next to other programs as well. But I applied, I was accepted for entrepreneurship and new business venturing. That was a relatively new program, I think, a master program in RSM. And I moved to Rotterdam in August 2007 to follow the master program. So the first desire was get to travel more, get to know more than what you're taught by growing up in a specific country and not traveling abroad. And then how can you do that also by studying? I think that's quite an easy way to move. And
Yeah, I can also.
specifically
Sorry.
entrepreneurship. So no, it's specifically entrepreneurship because that would give me the path to get to be involved in organizations that can have an impact and work on something that I really feel I relate. So, you know, how you go to sleep and you think, I can't wait to wake up in order to do what I want. And that's what happened to me back then. And after graduating, of course, after starting with the business. But that was the path I wanted to take. And I thought probably corporate is not going to be. I don't say it cannot be, but for me.
I can also imagine coming to the Netherlands as a student gives you a very unique entryway into the country because you right away have a little village around you, right? Like your co-students. However, out of own experience, having done this in Brazil and in Norway, it is also quite an isolated village. How was it for you to really arrive in the Netherlands then?
So I had the great luxury of moving with one of my best friends from Greece. And we have quite a big path together, starting from the bachelor, then we moved to do the same masters, then we co-founded I Am Expat. So that was a good position to be already in. But in my head, there was no bad scenario in this move. So I was coming with a lot of hugely positive mindset. And that made this village look like a beautiful place to be because I really wanted to be there. Rotterdam has a lot of international students. It's not that you are a minority; it's a good big part of the community. And next to what happens in your own programs, then you can meet with so many students via that are in other programs as well. I happen to be Greek, as I mentioned, and Greek people like to meet each other quite fast. That was not my goal. That's not why I came here. But of course, you connect. I met beautiful people from Greece, from many other countries as well. But having a network at that point came quite naturally and quite fast. And I think as a student, that's an opportunity that's a big opportunity when you move to a new place. Indeed. I do think the village is not small, depending where you go. In Rotterdam, it was not small. And it gives you access to the feeling of not belonging, but at least for that time being, feeling around people that you have a good energy, that you are in this together, that you understand each other, that you have common goals. I think it helps to connect. Yeah, a lot.
Meaning that was kind of bridge between your previous phase with the new phase and helped you to experience kind of onboarding platform for settling the things here in the Netherlands, right?
Sorry, what did you mean with previous phase?
I mean, it helped you in some ways to, softly and smoothly landed in this context, in this new context. I mean, that was kind of, it seems for me, onboarding program, not just a kind of official program at university. It helped you to settle the things here. And you mentioned you moved to the Netherlands with your friends, right?
One good friend of mine, so we happened to follow the same studies. It came as not a vision we had together, but it happened to happen, let's say. So I would come in any case. But I did have a very good friend of mine with me. And then we met immediately, so many other people.
And
So
you founded the I Am Expat together.
Later, yeah, with two more
Later.
co-founders, but this happened a bit later, yeah.
So meaning this is the next question. Already, Charlene and I talked about one of the main questions. If we met you at a party and didn't know what I Am Expat was, what would you say?
So I Am Expat today, yeah. In a very simple way, we are dedicated to helping expats, internationals, build a better life. What does this mean? When you move to a new country, I think we all relate to that. There are many things you don't know, and this has to do a lot with information. We provide information. That's one main important thing that I Am Expert does since day one. And we believe we provide a lot of trusted guidance, honest guidance on how to find things around in your new country of residence. We do it in the Netherlands, in Germany, and in Switzerland. So it's information plus a network of services, including job ads, housing rentals, and also we organize events and webinars. So at the events, the I Am Expert Fair, our audience can meet with service providers. And but the main thing we try to solve is don't feel you are alone in this. There is a trusted source called I Am Expert, and there are many people that have been through the same journey like you. And we also try to bring people, in touch, let's say, at our events.
Yeah, online you've been talking, or I've been reading sources, also news articles where you were talking about your rationale behind founding I Am Expert, saying that you wanted to offer this to people, like something to people you were lacking whilst moving to the Netherlands. How did that platform actually develop, like from the initial idea or pilot platform to what it is now?
So we were at an event, a social event with my co-founders, and we thought we should be doing more of these events for internationals because it's an obvious need. You might come to a new country, you have a house after a point, you have a job, but what's the point if you cannot enjoy it with other people, if you don't start having the feeling of belonging? So that was the initial idea. And then we met and we actually thought that first we have to have very concrete, specific information for everyone, easily accessible, trustworthy. So even before you move here, you know what to expect and you know how to deal with important and basic things. And that gave birth to a website instead of events. That gave birth to I Am Expert in November 2009. Fortunately, the domain I Am Expert was available, to my big surprise and big happiness, pretty much globally, actually. And right after introducing I Am Expert online, it was the moment that social media was getting popular, especially Facebook. We talk about now 2009. And then you had Facebook groups and Facebook pages. We created a Facebook group, a Facebook page, but the magic was that when you would post something on your Facebook page as an organization like I Am Expert, it would get to everyone. So this helped a lot build a community because the logo was recognizable, the brand was recognizable. You even understand it. You can speak, you can say I Am Expert, and it is who you are. So it was really close to our community. Social media helped us develop. We did a lot of great job on SEO as well. And we started organizing social events. We were in our mid-20s, so the moment was there as well in that aspect. And we did quite many big events, themed events with proper music, depending, sometimes we had specific themes. We would be having between 200 and 500 people for these social events. And I think this gave a lot of traction and helped with the brand gain more popularity. And it has resulted in some amazing families, as far as I know as well, people who came to these events. So we tried to solve information, and then we moved on to events. And from that onwards, when we saw that there is a proof of concept, people know I Am Expert, follow I Am Expert, and we start generating income as a business, because this is important. That's not a hobby. You have to make a living out of it as well. We introduced a housing platform. We introduced a job board because we saw that our audience was looking a lot into career-related content, and the job board gave us a lot of boost in terms of traffic as well. And then we introduced directories, so pages where you can find specific providers for what you need. And after this, we fulfilled the need of our users online, and we thought, what if we can do something like this offline as well on a bigger scale? So bring companies and experts together. And this gave birth to the I Am Expert Fair in 2015, which has grown to be a big event. Usually we have around 2,000 people visiting in one day. And yeah, that's some of the story of how we started and how we started growing.
Panos, as a person who moved to the Netherlands, not same as you many years ago, and decided to try my chance to act as an entrepreneur, I feel three different kind of, let's say, isolation. One of them is, okay, when you are moving to a new country, everything is new, and sometimes you have no idea how to plan the things, housing, stuff like that you mentioned even in Europe. The second one is, as an entrepreneur, you have to go with lots of challenges in terms of your business, marketing, development, team building, I don't know, sales, whatever like that. And the third one is kind of struggles with culture, language barriers, and the things like this. Okay. Have you do you have any kind of stories during this journey that's, for example, you figured out, okay, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I prefer just to quit, come back to my country, or I don't know, stop my business or whatever like that? Because frankly speaking, I have talked with many, let's say, international entrepreneurs moving to the Netherlands, and after a while, they really think, hey, what I'm doing, why I want at the same time living to a new country and running a business. It's a lot. And I think you have a lot to share with us, personally or professionally, in terms of this specific issue.
So I believe that, and I think it's common sense, starting a business is a wild trip. Maybe in the beginning, I have seen many times people fantasize a beautiful valley with sunshine, but you realize it's a tough mountain with really bad stormy weather that you have to climb. And I had the chance, the opportunity to be next to great people that we have been co-founding I Am Expat. We co-founded I Am Expat, and this helps a lot. So starting a business, growing a business with somebody else, of course, it can be very difficult, but in the tough moments, it can be also very, very empowering, having each other's back. So I think that's an interesting thing, starting especially a first business together with co-founders, maybe two, so that you are three and you don't, you don't bump into crucial disagreement and you don't move on. I think it's quite important. And it can give a lot of solutions instead of problems, as long as you know how to work in such relationships, of course. Then, it is tough. Building a business is tough, and it can break you or it can make you. And in my case, I think I was really in for it. And every day that it would break me, it was actually making me. And there was a point that I was literally feeling, I believe I can do anything. There is nothing I cannot do anymore. So, this feeling, but this feeling was quite unique. So, yeah.
So, do you have any specific insight in terms of running your business with your co-founders in the Dutch economy that you think it's really, important to share with other founders, I don't know, entrepreneurs who move here for the same reason?
In my case, I think it's a bit specific because I had the opportunity to start a business where, in principle, my expat identity is favorable because I did start I Am Expat, and speaking English was enough to get to the point that we became actually market leaders, and our audience are internationals. Our company language is English. The biggest part of the advertisers and clients are Dutch, but they actually serve the international community. So speaking in English is something to be expected. But what we did really work a lot on from day one is networking. We were meeting everyone in person to build trust. What I see as my experience is that in the Dutch environment, the Dutch entrepreneurs, Dutch business people are always there willing to listen to what you can bring on the table with honesty, directness, and yeah, they're very open and there is no second guessing, let's put it this way. So we were very persistent, and I was very persistent in meeting with people in person. And lots of events and lots of meetings, always going to the client office, to the office of the client, potential partner, organization, to build trust. And once we got into this, these guys are legit. They're nice people, you know. We started getting introduced from the one to the other and getting vouched, because if you think about it, I was 25 years old. There was no network I had in the Netherlands, at least within the Dutch network. And I was asking people to trust me. This needs, in my opinion, this needs definitely face-to-face. This needs to go, shake hands, and speak, show who you are, and yeah, move on like this.
Yeah, exactly. That's really important because, as you mentioned, when you are moving to a new context, new country, you in some ways you have to establish everything from the scratch. You don't have network, specific connection, maybe kind of social identity, social capital there. No one knows you, even if you already did a lot. You know, it's everything is new. You have to cope with many things at the same time. Uh, and I think I already shared with you that within the Flux Forward, we call that period activation gap, meaning after arriving, it takes time just to find yourself in a new context and activating your potential, I don't know, navigating your career path, professional life, and stuff like that. And I think, as you mentioned, providing the right information, at least in the beginning, one of the main things that you are trying to, to provide to your target market, let's say. But at the same time, it seems most of the, let's say, expats or internationals, they are putting themselves in kind of bubble, in kind of silos, meaning they are not actively or proactively engaging with the Dutch context, Dutch economy, Dutch society. And most of the time they are spending time together. You know, that's why even maybe sometimes they are postponing the, I don't know, learning Dutch, specifically for those people who have a plan to stay here for a long time. This is the right observation, or you think maybe, what I shared, you can add more layers to make it more understandable, let's say.
So I find this in the right kind of direction, or insightful, the way you talk about it, because it is something that you will probably find yourself dealing with, the trap of living within your international expat circle. I think once you move to a new location, it is normal to connect with fellow internationals, fellow expats. After all, you share the same needs, same core needs, especially the sense of belonging, and you understand each other. I think it's good and great that people connect with people that understand them, and it's important, at least in the beginning. Now, if you are for the long run, it can be also a trap. So it depends what's your objective. And if you want to grow in a society, of course, you have to work with the rules of that society as well, meaning integrating with locals. So I myself live in Amsterdam, which I think by itself is quite of a more specific case on how much more access you have to internationals. and opportunities by just speaking English, but speaking Dutch definitely will unlock doors and opportunities. And it's not something that I have mastered at all, but that's because of, I think, the kind of exceptional circumstances around my life of running I Am Expert and having international family as well. But it definitely would give you access to better integration, faster integration. You hear many time about, I don't know, the Dutch people are this, the Dutch people are that. I think in any country you would go and move into, and you would expect people to speak in English when you just visit 10 nationals that invite you to their family or invite you to their friendship circle. Just because you are there is quite a far-fetched scenario. The fact that the Netherlands offers this accessibility by a big amount of the population speaking English, at least for transactional purposes, or for much deeper conversations as well, is something to not be misunderstood, that they don't have a known cultural and identity, and that this is what they grew up with, the Dutch language. And I think this is normal. At the point, this is normal. So yeah, speaking the language definitely gives you access to more opportunities. And then, as I said before, meeting people face to face, making sure it might not be easy to set up a meeting on a short notice. That's the
That's right.
case, unless you deal with other internationals, especially Greeks, I can say that. But once a meeting is in the agenda, it is in the agenda. And people will be open to listen to you and see what you have to bring. And that's a good starting point of trust. And that's one thing for sure. And
That's great.
network, show face, meet with your neighbors, meet with people from school, meet with people from work, from public organizations, maybe volunteer in some cases. There are quite some nice organizations in the Netherlands where internationals can volunteer as well, even if you don't speak the language.
That's great. Thank you. At the same time, we were talking, Charlene was busy with kind of crisis management.
I hope
Yeah,
everything is good.
yeah, and again, now it is. My excuses. My daughter just decided to climb on furniture, and had a little accident in the meantime.
Now she's
Sorry.
fine.
So
Yeah.
yeah, she the
If
TV
you need,
survived, so she's happy.
I mean, if you need to take more time with her, feel free. I mean, we can continue. No worries.
Yeah, it might be that I have to go in and out to soothe a little bit, but yes, I'm sorry.
No worries. I mean, yeah, I
Yeah.
just tried to, continue our conversation till the time you are coming back on the stage. Now it's your turn if you have anything in your mind to share.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about what really helps with integrating in the Netherlands. For example, like speaking the language. Do you feel like things have changed in the last couple of years?
With regards to speaking the language, or in general in the Netherlands?
With regards to how life for expats or for foreigners in the Netherlands is, like how easy or difficult it is to actually integrate in the Netherlands or come to the Netherlands in the first place.
Now, if you look at the I Am Expert Fair statistics, where we have more than 2,000 visitors per event, and we ask them why do they join, the top reasons are still there. So people are primarily looking for job opportunities, housing, learning Dutch. They're looking for tax advice, but also high-level education options, next to many other services, of course. And it shows that there is still a fundamental need and drive to build a career and a home in the Netherlands. Also, in the most recent Dutchers.nl survey of 1,100 internationals dated to 2024, I want to highlight answers to the question of what do you find most difficult about living here, where multiple options would be chosen. The results here show a mix of practical but also social challenges. So 1 out of 3 answered the taxation system, 40% mentioned the healthcare system, 40% also dealing with the language. 1 out of 3 answered that I find living here relatively easy. But the alarming one is that half of the responders, 50%, answered that they find it difficult living in the Netherlands because of the rise in anti-foreigner sentiment. And this last one is a heavy statistic. And of course, it tells us as well that the emotional cost has risen. As far as I know, in terms of immigration policies, it is still possible to immigrate to the Netherlands, and to the extent that it has been in principle. But that's one thing. Then you do have a lot of challenges, of course, and it's a matter of job opportunities. One, for sure, because you need to make this step, you need to have available options, and housing. These are the first two things that you need to cover. It's no question, a job and a house. Both seem to be quite tough. It depends, of course, what you're doing. But yeah, housing has been a huge topic since quite some time, especially Amsterdam becomes more and more inaccessible to not only to internationals as well. And I think it still remains a very interesting place to move. I think there are still many opportunities for internationals, for those that want to move abroad and build a new life. And there is a very big, amazing international population that wants to help each other, wants to create opportunities, wants to build things in a very interesting aspect of an expat is the fact that no matter what the circumstances made them be in that new place, which I hope for most of the people are usually good cases or a matter of choice, you have another level, I think, of hunger, of achieving, because you already make a decision that for many people can be tough. And in order to support this decision, you have to make the effort, you have to make the extra, you need, I think there is this sense of having to prove yourself to yourself as well until the moment you make it, until the moment you're like, okay, that was a good decision, and now I made it. And I don't know how I went there, talking about this great community. And I think, yes, still there are good opportunities. There will be always challenges in expatriation. The Netherlands has been a country that traditionally has been open, and there are still many multinational companies in the Netherlands. The country still wants to have a very strong economy and is depending on internationals as well, big time, in order to be able to find human capital for certain industries, positions, and corporations to keep growing at the level that
And in your experience, do you feel like there's a difference between, let's say, European immigrants or European expats coming to the Netherlands as compared to international ones?
the first, of course, and there is a very simple barrier initially, which is the visa and the work permit, the permit. So as an EU citizen, you don't need to justify it. You just can't do it. And that's a huge difference. That's a huge difference. Because you don't even consider the fact of, am I accepted? The moment you need to get a permit, you need to be accepted. You need to be allowed. I haven't experienced that myself, but there's a big gap between the two cases.
Frankly speaking, it's more than a gap because I know many people, including myself, coping with that struggle. It feels, as you mentioned, you are investing a lot, time, effort, money, a lot, but still you have no idea what's happening next month, for example, or next year. And, it makes everything in some ways temporarily. That's why I just wanted to ask you. I know that you are focusing on providing information, supporting internationals, specifically expats here. Do you have any kind of specific initiatives or programs, or I don't know, whatever like that within your I am expat for supporting non-EU internationals who are living here? Or I don't know, do you have any idea how those non-EU people can cope with this main struggle? because anyway, in past almost 2 decades, definitely you have talked with lots of people in that term.
So if we talk about administrative struggles and the feeling of uncertainty is one thing. I think it's more personal, and it might require some advice on the personal level from specialists that can help someone with this. That could be actually something good. Next to, of course, sharing these experiences with people who have gone through this. I think it's hugely important. As I am expat, we don't have a certain initiative focusing specifically on non-EU citizens. Maybe we could do more in terms of events as well, bringing people together. But other than that, our content has been primarily useful many times also for non-EU internationals, non-EU citizens, especially because of that fact. So we have pages like getting a permit in the Netherlands. It's hugely popular. And the reason is because it's being read by people that are not non-EU, that are not EU nationals. We would usually refer someone when it comes to administrative matters, of course, to immigration lawyers, because this is the best advice you can get, I think. And then if someone needs to cope with this, I think it's talking to people that have been through the same situation and how to deal with uncertainty, maybe also with some specialists. And I have to say that one of our most, and that says a lot actually, one of our most busy directories, we have these directories on I Am Expert, is the one with psychologists and therapists. We have more than 120, I believe, nowadays. And with tons of many different languages you can choose from. And yeah, this says a lot. People are having a hard time when they expatriate, for sure. All this effort you have to put, and especially if you are not EU, in many cases, it can take a toll on you. Yes, because as you say, you are invested in an uncertainty, and quite of something to go through.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, both of you definitely probably have had these experiences as well. Earlier, you mentioned the bureaucratic hurdles for non-EU individuals who want to come to the Netherlands. Those bureaucratic hurdles, I can imagine, can have a knock-on effect as well, not just on a personal level, like Ben has been talking about and has like definitely experienced by himself, but also on a societal level, I can imagine, because I don't know whether you have experience with that, with working together with companies, but I can imagine that those companies might be more reluctant in looking for individuals from outside of the EU because of exactly those hurdles, or that there might be a certain form of stigma just because of all those hurdles that slowly forms over time.
I don't know about the stigma. I wouldn't be able to say this, but what I see in what I have experienced myself, to the level that I can speak about, with bureaucracy in the Netherlands is predictable and transparent, in my experience again. And I think that's a good relationship to have with public institutions, predictability and transparency. Now, when it came a couple of years ago, we had to become a recognized company by the IND to be able to sponsor visas. It was predictable and transparent. It happened. We made it. And then we wanted to have someone as a highly skilled migrant and sponsor the visa. Again, it happened without any surprises. So the small amount of experience I have on this specific topic, I can say that when we worked with the right people, and it was a couple of immigration officers that helped us with this, or lawyers, it happened as it would be expected. So there was no bad scenario in my experience. I think the idea is what I was talking about before, was that the moment that you need to be accepted somewhere, it might create something in you, but I think we all have to face a certain reality. I didn't have to, but relocating to other places does require a process to get a permit. and even as getting the national identity. And it's not unique. It's not something that happens only in the Netherlands. It's a process you have to go through. And what we can see is that in the Netherlands, it is possible, definitely.
Meaning still it's kind of two different, I'm not sure, should I call this mindset or approach? One of them is being in the Netherlands, and another one feeling part of the Netherlands, because sometimes people are living here, but they don't feel they already kind of connected to this context. They are living in their bubble, let's say. How you think, or even maybe you say it's not important, but newcomers can start, let's say, saying, I'm expat in the beginning, but after a while, they start thinking, okay, I'm from here. I'm part of this society. You know what I mean? I'm not just here just to have a job and, I don't know, live in my bubble. I'm here to participate, to engage more. Uh, how you think it could be possible to bridge between these two mindsets?
Yeah, I think the one thing is to want to do it, because mentioning that you're an active part of a society, engaging outside of just yourself with what's happening around you, and someone needs to want this. As we discussed before, not only just then speaking the Dutch language, but understanding the cultural background. So some history probably. Where is this? How did this nation develop to be the nation it is today? Politics, at least the basic information has to be there, and engaging on a very very frequent basis with locals, with Dutch neighbors, families, just not just for business, but talking about what's happening around you. So I think, yeah, that's quite of an important part to integrate on such of a level that I am part of this society. I actively do things that can influence the society, or I mean, up to a point, at least people around you and your immediate surrounding. I think it takes more than just speaking the language in that case. Again, I'm not at that point. I think I am an active part of the society for other reasons, for quite a few reasons actually, but it takes more than just the language.
Playing a bit devil's advocate here, maybe, like because you're putting the onus very much on the individual currently, like on what the individual has to do, and I do agree you have to. Having moved to other countries myself for like shorter periods, but still, it was definitely imperative to learn the language and engage with locals as much as possible to feel part of a community or a culture. However, what do you think society, or like the society in the country you moved to, and maybe now specific the Netherlands, but you with I am expat also do have business in Germany and Switzerland, but maybe more now for the focusing on the Netherlands. What do you think Dutch culture or like the Dutch society could change about their outlook on individuals moving to the Netherlands, or could make easier for people moving here?
I think easier for moving here. I mean, they are quite lucky to have I am expert, I would say, because that gives it immediately a positive correlation with if I am expert exists. Honestly, this must be a place where there is at least some base level infrastructure for to make international life a life of internationals good. As organizations, the Dutch have created the expat centers. That there are quite many across the main cities in the country. So Amsterdam, The Hague, etc. So there is, I believe, some sort of welcoming first spot you can go to declare your presence, do your basic bureaucracy, and deal with some initial things you need to do. So with regards to moving to the Netherlands, I believe in principle it is well-founded at the moment. At least that's my experience and my belief. Now, when it comes to making people feel more welcome, it depends also on politics sometimes. So there is publicity certain times about housing, how it is related to experts, probably. I think this doesn't help. And it's not the case, in my opinion, as well. I mean, according to data I have seen also. So having a positive, more positive information as a nation on your nationals as well, on why this country is also welcoming internationals, what it means for our economy, what it means for our context. So I think there should be some more positive view, accurate then view, I would say, on what internationals contribute to the Netherlands. And this should contribute to a more openness even from those that might think differently because of other kind of publicity.
Okay, that's great. Following what you mentioned right now, let's say thinking about kind of in a systemic way, if you could redesign just one thing in the Dutch systems to reduce the activation gap and let's say make it integration easier for internationals in the Netherlands, what would you change in general? Just one thing.
Maybe offer more opportunities for internationals to learn Dutch. If
It's
I look at something
interesting.
practical, yeah.
Panos, it's really interesting. You mentioned this one. I didn't expect you mention something like that because recently we talked with many internationals, including entrepreneurs, highly skilled people, researchers, students, and stuff like that. And interestingly, we heard a lot from international knowledge workers, including highly skilled people and entrepreneurs, that they are interested, really interested in learning Dutch. But they have to put lots of effort for settling other things. I don't know, job, study, stuff like that. And that's why it seems a lot for them for investing money and time in general in a short term. I mean, I'm talking about the first few years to learn Dutch. And all the time, most of them say we have no idea, for example, why there is no specific opportunities for supporting us for example, learning Dutch in some kind of classes, same as other people who moved to the Netherlands because other reasons. And that was interesting for them. I'm talking specifically about entrepreneurs who moved to the Netherlands because of the startup visa program or the highly skilled people. What do you think about that?
So, but actually my comment about facilitating Dutch language, there are many providers. So if someone would like to speak Dutch, there are quite many. I was just checking my website before this meeting, we have 39 listed there. So there are providers, at least if you're willing to pay to speak the language, to learn the language. It is good that you mentioned that there are many things at the same time. And maybe we should also not be so hard on ourselves. We have to do everything day one. We have to go through the steps of initial landing phase, let's put it this way, and then we can build up on our integration or building growth phase. So yes, it is challenging to deal with all bureaucracy in the beginning, especially if you're not in EU. If you're not in EU, I would say. If you're EU, I think it's quite okay. And in that direction, obviously, things could become more efficient, possibly, or have less uncertainty. I don't know how that would work with the immigration services. But other than that, after this is aside, I do think there are opportunities to learn Dutch. There used to be more programs in the past, I believe, from the Dutch government as well. If someone has a financial issue with paying for Dutch courses, yes, this could have been provided by the Dutch government as well, even to a bigger extent, and make it more available so it helps people build a better life here.
Yeah.
But tell me about these stories you have, Bank, like a good story of people find it difficult to do everything at the same time, cope with all the challenges.
Just looking at the time, and I was thinking to round the podcast reporting off, and maybe something that is a little less deep or difficult to answer. Talking about coming to the Netherlands and feeling home in the Netherlands now that you've almost lived in the Netherlands for 20 years. What is your favorite Dutch city? So where would you recommend an expat to move to, which city? And which part of that culture do you enjoy most?
So while I will answer this question, I have to say that one of the things that definitely need to be fixed is the cost of childcare that has been announced to be fixed from 2025. Probably then it's pushed to 2027. Now I think it's 2029. Then maybe who knows what happens. Definitely not. So childcare is huge. At least until the age of 4, you have to be heavily invested to meet ends. And if you move here with your family, it can be extremely challenging. So yeah, childcare is a big problem. Housing tops up on this, so definitely measures have to be taken in that direction as well. From what we have been seeing the last 2 years, the situation is getting very, very difficult with housing also. And yeah, so these definitely are two things that should be improved. Going back to the question that you mentioned earlier.
No, absolutely. Like, I agree. Childcare is having a child by myself. It is definitely an expensive one in the Netherlands. Yes.
It can be a no-go for some people. Like easily, if you see what you need to, the effort you need to make to find a new house, but to also go to the daycare. And it doesn't mean that your partner has to be there all day long. Maybe they want to find a new job. Maybe they actually actively go for a beginner's job that doesn't pay enough because they want to build a new life as well in this country. Husband or wife, doesn't matter who does it. So yeah, it should be supported more. And announcing measures such as making the 30% ruling, the 27% ruling is not in favor of expatriation, or at least internationals moving here. And honestly, for a 3%, 10% deduction, like from 30 going to 27, I doubt to what level this is really something required for the Dutch economy to meet ends versus more of politics and satisfying other, let's say, needs. So yeah, tax benefits are there for a reason, and are there to compensate as well all the effort, all the sacrifice you need to make in order to build a better life for yourself, but also contribute to the new place where you are, because expats contribute, and they contribute a lot. So tax incentives, there was a reason they're there, and I don't see why they should be reduced, at least from my view, especially when you talk about making 20, 30, 27. It's, yeah.
So almost an hour we are talking together, meaning maybe it's a good idea slowly. I mean, we are gonna wrap up this episode. Right now, I'm thinking about one specific question, Panos, to ask you. Then maybe Charlene wanna ask more. When people ask you today that, where are you from? In general, what do you answer?
I was born and raised in Greece, where I lived until the age of 24. My first trip abroad actually was when I was 22 years old. So naturally, my response is that I do come from Greece, and I think that these first 24 years are definitely encoded in me. I don't have any need to identify myself with a certain national identity, but I know where my roots are, and I fully embrace my upbringing. At the same time, I am part of the Dutch society, and it is interesting to say that whenever I come back from short or long-term traveling, I feel like now I am going home. This is where I live with my family and where I create value through my work. It is interesting because I have two kids and my older one is 7 years old now. But when she was 5, she was speaking to a friend of hers and she said, my dad is from Greece, my mom is from France, and I am from Amsterdam. And she had it in her head very clearly, sorted out. And I found this very interesting. I think there's a place so I don't know why I went to this, but I really found it interesting how the sense of belonging or upbringing or where you come from can be, even in our circumstances as a family, which is not a typical family. Let's say I think the kids will feel like they come from 3 different places, including the Netherlands. Still, Amsterdam is today's answer, but let's see.
Charlene, do you have any last question maybe you want to ask?
Yeah, I mean, we can just as a very last question, like which part of Dutch culture, like I asked earlier, is like dearest to you, or can you feel like you've taken up in your own repertoire?
Agenda, 100%. Since the very beginning. So yes, although I do miss the spontaneous arrangements, but I have my international friends to take care of that. So that's okay. So no, agenda and directness, because I think that directness means effectiveness at the end of the day, and that's how I see it, at least. Especially in terms of business, I don't think you should take it personally. It's about moving on. So these are 2 things: agenda and directness.
Yeah, thank you very much. And also thank you very much for making the time for us to be here on the podcast and answer our questions.
Thank you for inviting me. I think it could go for hours, and I didn't get to hear much from you. But we will do that offline as well.
That's
Yes.
interesting, Panos, because we had a plan, and I had a plan 45 minutes. And since Charlene was here, I was sure that right at 45 minutes, she says, okay, it's done. And she's still here. That's great.
Yeah, it is an internal joke a little bit because I'm German and Dutch. Agenda, yeah, it is ingrained in me. That's very true. And I'm a very punctual person. That's very true. Yeah.
I expected earlier, she asks, okay, let's wrap up. But I did it, that was interesting. So, Panos,
you see, I went with the flow.
yeah. Thank you, Panos. Definitely, you have a lot more to share with us. But since we have a plan just 45 minutes to 1 hour, if it's fine, we are wrapping up this episode. But at the end, in case if we forgot to ask anything or you think there is something that you need to emphasize on, feel free to share. If there is nothing, just we can say bye and we can finish this episode.
I say see you at the next episode whenever this time comes, maybe in 1 year, maybe 2 years. And good luck with season 2. I hope it's gonna go well, and I look forward to getting to know your other invitees, participants, and to learn more from them and from you on the rest of the season.
Thank you.